code. Get it and go open the vault.
Progress. Send police. I'd like to report a robbery. Answer.
Make sure you get the code right.
They have to come here now.
What's up guys? I'm finally done with this, the Auction Cry achievement guide from the recent Shackleton heist. Of course, since it's quite new, I'll be covering more information than usual, so if you need a break, just pause the video and come back later. With that said, here's what we'll be covering today. The objectives of the heist, the layout of the mansion, where to spend our pages, and then the strategy, which includes tips and whatnot. Let's start with the objectives. For the objectives, I will classify them into two types. Ones that are urgent and should be done immediately, and the other ones important but not so urgent. So to gain maximum efficiency, we need to work on the urgent ones as soon as possible, and then the not so urgent ones while having a bit of breathing space, like when waiting for the hacks to complete or for the auctioneer to start moving. So the urgent ones. Hack 2 security boxes, which has a 30-second timer each. Place the keypad blocker. Then accessing the office by luring the auctioneer with the breaker, getting his keycard and swiping it on the office wall. Next, hacking the computer, which has a 45 seconds timer. Then of course, the final part. Enter the code, open the vault, grab the obsidian plate, which we will secure via the zip line, and then escape. Next, we have the not so urgent ones, which can be done ahead of time. We need to find the power breaker, which can be done anytime before step 3. Then the blowtorch, anytime before step 5. Last one would be to enable and set up the zipline by bagging any loot, except for this bus artifact, which should be a bug. This can be done anytime before step 6. Now that we're clear on the objectives, let's look at the layout of the mansion. Apart from the obvious areas like the lobby and the storage area, there are 4 main objective rooms in the form of rectangular blocks, each formed by 2 side-by-side smaller sub-blocks. These are the level 2 exhibit rooms and office and the level 1 hall. The 2 security boxes spawns in the main block and is spread out across 4 locations with 2 in each sub-block. So don't make the mistake of skipping the other sub-block if the first is empty. We have to check at least 3 box spots. Then next, the office, which only spawns on the second floor. When the main block is picked for the office, it will always be in the right sub-block, when facing the corridor that is, which comes with a bulletproof glass wall at the front and blinds at the back. Then on the first floor, there are 2 small rooms. Depending on RNG, one will be a kitchen while the other will be the security room, where we can kill the guard to disable cameras. Next are utility rooms. There are a total of 3, of which 2 are along the south corridor on the second floor and 1 to the west of the reception on the first floor. They all have an equal chance to contain the breaker, the blowtorch, or nothing. Last bit for this section is the metal detectors at the entrance. This part is important because a player walking through the metal detectors will trigger an instant alarm, even when an ECM is active. It would be a huge mistake for that to happen just as everyone is running to the escape. It can be disabled by the external power box, which is located near the ladder locations. Then next are guards and pages. On overkill and above, there will be 10 guards, 3 at the entrance, which is a waste of pages. 1 in the hall that patrols in an anti-clockwise pattern but never walks into the storage area. Another waste of a pager. Then the camera guard, which can be useful to take out but only if we can spare the time. On the opposite side, there will be a guard in the kitchen. When the storage area is open, he will leave the kitchen to patrol between the storage and the small room on the west. This one is a recommended kill as we will most likely run into him. However, there is an odd glitch at the moment where he passed to the camera room and gets stuck if the camera room spawns in the west and the camera guard is killed. I use this in my all loot stealth run, but to use it or not, that's up to you. Then one guard will cover the north for both the first and second floors and will path into the storage room. He can, though rarely, use the east staircase to travel. Another recommended kill. Then the remainder of the guards cover the second floor. One guard each for the west and east block and their corridors, which can be useful to take out if it's the office block. And then the last guard, which only patrols around the corridor. I would kill him because of the utility rooms, but it can be risky with the other guards walking about. So that's all the 10 guards, of which if I were to choose, I would kill 3, the north guard and kitchen guard, since they path into the storage, and the commonly targeted camera guard. For the others, with some patience, we can sneak past them. Now time for tips. Usually I'll do strategy before tips, but since I'm going to use these in my strategy, we'll look at them first. The regular security cameras, when broken, will never be investigated. So if the guards in a certain area is killed, we can safely break the nearby cameras. The scouting of the rooms can be done safely from the outside for the west and east blocks to check for the security boxes, office location, and also the keypad code, since guards don't path out here. Next, the office and security boxes are never together. Knowing this can save us a bit of time. For example, if we know it's an office block, the sub-block next to it will never contain security boxes, so we can simply move on. In another situation, if we scouted 2 exhibit blocks and don't find any security boxes, the last block will definitely be an office block, which can only mean the security boxes are downstairs in the hall. Next tip, the office can be scouted easily. From the outside, we will be able to see the blinds, and from far, we can just look across to see the distinct glass wall. Then this next tip is a favorite of mine and a hidden gem. When the power off objective comes on, instead of opening up all the utility rooms one by one, we can instead just walk into the right side of the door. If the breaker is in the room, the objective waypoint will then show up as confirmation. This works only on the second floor though. Then the auctioneer. He will always pass by the reception, but whether by the left or right will always correspond with the location of the breaker. Left if the breaker is on the left, and right blah blah blah. Next, if we have time to spare, the metal detectors can be disabled just in case, because as mentioned earlier, any player walking through it will cause an instant alarm, even with an active ECM. We wouldn't want the achievement run to fail because of a tiny mistake, do we? Then hackers pocket ECMs. They are very useful to delay the pager while we perform objectives, especially when guards are near them. Like instead of answering the pager first, we delay it with a pocket ECM, then hack the security boxes and come back to deal with it. Last tip. Without the AI interaction boost, the silent saw is quicker to open the second floor utility rooms, but do watch out for any nearby guard. And taking out the receptionist is a must. Oh, when will this video end? Just a little more. Not much on shortcuts, just 3. We can bypass the metal detectors and enter through the lobby by jumping over the sides or the tables, but it's riskier and mostly used for speedruns. So just stay safe and use the ladder instead. The next one should be obvious. We can get to the hall quickly by jumping downwards from the second floor corridor. Just remember to avoid the hall guard. I usually do this to get in position for the auctioneer. Last one, getting out of the mansion. Instead of using the ladder to get back down, which is a hard task, we can simply jump off the second floor to land on an object. I usually jump into the wall, hug it, and land on the hedge. Ooh, the metal detectors. What a surprise! This is something that is commonly overlooked but can be a real asset to the team. The metal detectors, when disabled via the power box on the outside, allows the other players to stay in casing mode. But the question is, why Unknown Knight? Why? Cue Ryan Reynolds' why gif. You see, although in casing mode, players can only walk and is pretty much reduced to a guard or civilian spotter, through 6th sense of course, the distance and rate of being detected is reduced. It's even better than a mask up and crouching 3 detection risk player. And with the Chameleon basic skill, the detection rate in casing mode can be further reduced to 75%. This allows a player to become a dedicated scout that is harder to detect and makes for a potentially interesting though less exciting play. Try it out sometime. With that said, we can finally move on to the strategy. This achievement is definitely possible to be done solo, even without the AI interaction boost, but I don't recommend it if you want to retain your sanity. So instead, here's what I'll do when going solo with the AI boost. At the start, I'll take the ladder because it's safer and puts me directly on the outside for safe scouting of the first room. If I spot the office, I'll remember the location, and if it's the boxes, I'll move right in to hack them. Otherwise, I'll just move on to the other locations. Then while waiting for the security boxes to finish, I'll head on over to the utility rooms on level 2 and open them up. The earlier I know where the breaker and the blowtorch are, the better. And when the hacking is about to finish, I'll then head to one side of the storage room to scout out the smaller room. This part is pretty important, because the kitchen guard will start walking to the storage room, and I don't want to run into him after placing the blocker, just to waste precious time on a pager. So of course, the storage room opens and I go in and do my stuff. And after that, exit in the opposite direction of the kitchen guard and make my way to the breaker. Then I'll pull it, wait by the reception, and ambush the auctioneer. Then I'll grab his keycard and head up to his office for the computer hack. Here's where we have a bit of time to work on the not so urgent stuff. I'll back the artifact on the table nearby to trigger the zipline objective and then set it up. There's also enough time to grab the blowtorch if I haven't gotten it yet. Then the final leg of the run is straightforward. Open the vault, get the plate, secure it, and get out. Drop ECMs if needed. Of course, if we have multiple players to work with, some of the objectives can be worked on separately without having to sneak back and forth. That will save some time. So here's a sample of a 2-player approach, which can be further tweaked for more players or to your liking. First, the security boxes are scouted out and hacked. Not much control over that. Then player 1, or P1 for short, heads down to wait and to activate the keypad blocker, while P2 opens up the utility rooms to look for and wait by the breaker. P2 turns off and on the breaker, while P1 grabs the keycard and heads up to the office to get the hacking started. P1 then bags an artifact to trigger the zipline. Either player can then activate the zipline while another, let's say P2, since they are conveniently in a utility room, grabs the blowtorch and then waits at the keypad. P1 then relays the keypad code and can then stay back to provide support or head straight to the escape. P2 of course finishes up from there. And that's the idea. Then we have benchmarks. These are for a solo player with the AI interaction boost. There will be a bit of variation due to RNG and travelling distance, like from the position of the vault to zipline and whatnot. So by 50 seconds to a minute game time, the hack on the security boxes should be started. Then by 1:30 to 1:45, the keypad blocker should be placed. The auctioneer part can vary a fair bit and will be hard to benchmark, so we'll go straight to the computer. The computer hack should begin latest by 3 minutes game time. And lastly, entering of the vault, the literal walking into the vault, by around 4 minutes game time. So if we take too long for the early parts, like hacking the security boxes at 1:30 game time, that will simply be too late, and the restart would be the next thing to do. And here we go, the good old ECM rush. As of update 186.3, although the recent patch notes mention that ECM rushing is fixed, surprise surprise, it is not. For those who don't want to exploit this, there is also the legit way of rushing, but in both cases, it is best to take out the guards while doing so, as they can shoot an alarm glass by accident, which is conveniently placed all over the mansion. So the legit rushing is done after entering the keypad code, which I assume is how the developers intended it to be. At this point, it is the final leg of the speedrun and would at most require 2 players worth of ECMs. Then for the non-legit way, it mainly depends on the number of players in the game. For 4 players, we can just rush it right from the start. For 3, I recommend to rush after placing the keypad blocker. And for 2, slightly after starting the computer hack. I'm not sure if Overkill intends to patch this, perhaps they never will. In any case, if I do have an update, it will be mentioned in the video and also in a pinned comment. This should be the easiest method for now, so make use of it while it's available. Alright, we're almost done with all the talking. A few gameplays are coming up, so enjoy. If you're having trouble with this, do consider the ECM rush if it's still usable. Otherwise, with some practice, it should gradually be doable. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.
God, careful. God. Watch out, God. God on patrol.
Make sure no civilians get away.
Look out, God. God. God, careful. God on patrol. God, stay back. God on patrol. Watch out, God. God, stay back. God on patrol. God. Watch out, God.
Okay, so we're going to Salem and steal the artifact from the Fancy Rich Twanky party. You need to find a way around the metal detectors at the entrance. Find the nearby power box and disable it. Should kill those metal detectors.
God.
If you patch me into the security boxes for the storage room, I can unlock the doors to it. Nicely done. Now get to the other one. Right, now let me get this sorted. We'll be done in a jiffy.
God, careful. God.
Oh. Maybe. Trying to control.
Got it. Doors should be open. Every 10 minutes, the vault gets a new code. Stick a blocker unit on the keypad to stop it. The code is likely in the auctioneer's office, but you gotta get in there
Make
first.
sure no
The
civilians get
auctioneer
away.
probably has a keycard to open the door. Coppers don't like it when you shoot civvies.
I found the key card.
Maybe if you cut the power nearby, he'll come to investigate what's going on, yeah? Time to get into that office. Stay low. Hack the computer and see if you can find the code.
Send police. There's a robbery. Hello? Can you send police? This is a robbery. Hello? Answer! Please, I want to report a robbery. Yeah, send police. There's a robbery happening. Send police. There's a robbery happening. There's a robbery happening.
The code should be on the screen. Get it and go open the vault.
Please. Hello? Answer.
Okay, time to get in that vault. Chop chop.
You gotta send police here. They have guns. There's a robbery. A robbery's across. Please.
Now would be a good time to break out that torch you found before, friends.
Please send police. Robbery. You gotta send the police.
We're done.
That's a strange looking dingus here. Put it on the zipline. Chop chop.
Send police. There's a robbery happening. Send the police.
If there's nothing left you want to take, hurry and get back to the car.
I'm glad we pulled this off in such a civilized way.
Okay, so we're going to Salem and steal the artifact from the... You need to find a way around the metal detectors at the entrance. If you patch me into the security boxes for the storage room, I can unlock the doors to it. Okay, have a breather while I fix this. Nice, yeah? That torch's going to be useful later.
Watch out, guard.
Done. The doors are open now, friends.
Guard the civilians.
Every 10 minutes, the vault gets a new code. Stick a blocker unit on the keypad to stop it. Now you have to get inside the auctioneer's office and get the code. He should be carrying the keycard to it on his person. Maybe if you cut the power nearby, he'll come to investigate what's going on, yeah? Okay, now get the keycard from the auctioneer, quietly.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no need for alarm. All part of the festivities in this lovely old building. The power will be back on before you can say
Coppers don't like it when you shoot civvies.
Hey, get them, us. I found the key card.
Nicely done. Now get into that office, friends. The code will be stored on the auctioneer's PC. So, get hacking.
Guard, stay back. Look out, guard. Guard. Guard on patrol. Look out, guard. Guard.
the code. Get it and go open the vault. Don't enter the wrong code, or the alarm will sound. Okay, time to get in that vault. Chop chop. Now would be a good time to break out that torch you found before, friends.
I'm done.
That's a strange-looking dingus here. Put it on a zipline. Chop chop. There you go. If there's nothing else you want to take, get out of there. Beautiful work, friends. You made less noise than my cat on that one. Now let's see what we can do with that artifact, yeah? Duke will get to looking at it as soon as you get back to the safe house.